Today, we're going to dive into Dr. Partha Majumdar's book, Random Thoughts, and we're going to explore this really powerful idea that connects our own personal struggles, our professional lives, and the huge sweeping changes happening in society all around us. So let's just start with a question. Does it ever feel like things are moving just a little too fast? You know, like our technology is in a full-on sprint, but our wisdom, our ability to actually handle it is, well, it's still kind of learning how to walk. It's this feeling of imbalance, and I think a lot of us are feeling it. And this is exactly the problem the book tackles right from the very beginning. This quote just nails that tension, doesn't it? This widening gap between our amazing inventions and the wisdom we need to guide them. So, what do we do? How do we navigate this? Well, the book suggests the answer isn't to just hit the brakes on progress. Instead, it's to build a bridge that connects the timeless wisdom of our past with all the chaotic, disruptive energy of today. So what do you say? Let's take a walk across that bridge and see where it leads. Okay, first stop, the personal realm. How does this whole idea of balance and wisdom actually show up in our own lives, with our own joys, our own struggles? The author uses this really beautiful metaphor to get us thinking about it. The metaphor is pretty simple, but it's so profound. Think of life like a rose bush. It's got these gorgeous flowers, right? But it has way, way more thorns. And while the flowers come and go, those thorns, they have a tendency to stick around. Joy can feel fleeting, but the memory of pain, that can linger for a long, long time. And you see these thorns everywhere. I mean, think about it. The months of stress a student goes through for just one moment of success. Or those emotional wounds from an old relationship that can stick with you for years. The essays even point to bigger historical examples, the nonstop struggle of leaders like Netashi Subhash Chandra Bose, or the collective pain we all felt during the COVID-19 pandemic. The thorns are everywhere, and they are very, very real. But here's the key insight, the beautiful part. The fact that the flowers are so rare doesn't make them less valuable. It actually makes them more valuable. It's this powerful call to just be present, to really, truly appreciate those moments of joy and to find the courage to keep walking through the garden of life, thorns and all. All right, so let's take that idea of balance and apply it to the professional world, specifically to leadership. If our personal lives are about navigating thorns and flowers, what's the big challenge for a leader? The book pulls from some really deep ancient philosophy, pointing to this line from the Bhagavad Gita. It means equanimity is yoga. Basically, that a state of inner balance and calm is the whole point of discipline. So a great leader isn't someone who avoids tough situations. No, it's someone who acts with total commitment, but they remain detached from a frantic obsession with the results. And what's really fascinating is how this Eastern idea has a perfect mirror in Western philosophy. You see it here with Aristotle's golden mean. He said that virtue is always the perfect balance between two extremes. So courage, for example, isn't having no fear, that's just recklessness. And it's not being paralyzed by fear, that's cowardice. Courage is that balanced, rational path right down the middle. And this isn't just theory. It has massive real-world consequences. History gives us some pretty stark examples. You have Robespierre, whose obsessive, unbalanced pursuit of his ideals during the French Revolution led straight to the Reign of Terror. And then you have the ancient Indian emperor, Ashoka. After seeing the absolute horror of his own wars, he chose a balanced path of self-reflection, which led to a reign of justice and welfare. Unbalance leads to destruction. Balance leads to prosperity. So this brings us to our third and final exhibit, the societal realm. How in the world do we apply this ancient wisdom to the massive disruptions we're facing today? Like the rise of artificial intelligence. Well, the author argues that to understand our future, we really have to look at our past. Because the AI revolution, it's not the first time humanity has dealt with massive, world-changing technology. As you can see from this timeline, from agriculture to industry to computers, our history has a very clear pattern. There's always initial chaos, but it's always followed by adaptation. And let's be honest, that initial chaos is very real. The book points out that in 2024 alone, it's estimated that 80,000 jobs were lost because of AI. That is a huge disruption, and it's a source of very real anxiety for a lot of people. It's the modern-day thorn in the side of our progress. But, and this is a big but, if history is our guide, this disruption isn't the end of the story. Think about it. The Industrial Revolution eventually created way more jobs than it destroyed. The book argues the AI revolution is probably going to follow that same path. The key, as it's always been, is us. Human adaptability. Retraining our skills, creating a whole new industries, and learning how to use these incredible new tools to make ourselves better, not just to replace ourselves. So after all that, what's the big takeaway? We've looked at the personal, the professional, and the societal level, and the same lesson just keeps popping up over and over again. The core message is this: finding balance is the key. It's everything. Whether it's taking a moment to appreciate the flowers among life's thorns, or leading with calm composure instead of obsession, or guiding these massive technological shifts with wisdom. Reaching back into the wisdom of the past isn't about running away from the future. It's about finding the anchor we need to build a better one. And I want to leave you with this one final thought from the book. It just perfectly sums up this whole idea. It reminds us that maybe the goal isn't a life that's free of struggle. Maybe the goal is a life where we find the courage and the presence of mind to appreciate the beauty that makes all that struggle worthwhile.